What's up, guys? It's the wakeup 11 here, coming at you with a new video today. And you might have seen a lot in the news recently, a bunch of stuff about UFOs. You might have seen on Netflix a Bob Lazar documentary, and you might be wondering, what is the truth about aliens and UFOs? Are aliens real? Have they been to our planet? Have we been in contact with them? What's going on? So today I'm here to answer these questions for you. And to start, we're gonna have to go back, way back, thousands of years ago, to the ancient civilization of the Sumerians. Now, something about the Sumerians you might be familiar with, the story of the Tower of Babel in the Bible. Now, what's interesting about the Sumerians is they were responsible for a large amount of the technology and mathematics that we use today, including how we measure time, being the 60 seconds, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. So we've actually kept the same way of measuring time from this ancient civilization from thousands and thousands of years ago. So they definitely knew some stuff that we still use today. So in their texts, there's what's called the Tablets of Babylon. And just like how, for example, in American history, we would claim that World War II happened with Adolf Hitler, their history and their tablets states that aliens came down and they were called the annunaki, which I believe means those from heaven came. And they came down, and their history talks about the reasons they came down, what they did, some of their gods, and things like that. So, why did the aliens come down? Well, gold. That's the short answer. Basically, they came from a planet called Nibiris, which is an extra planet in the solar system, and NASA itself has actually claimed that there might be a 10th planet in our solar system, which many people speculate is Nibiru. But they came down here because they needed gold, because gold is a super good conductor and it's very useful for their technology. Now, something interesting about human evolution that kind of sides with the evidence of aliens is the aliens, the Anunnaki in the Tablets of Babylon, they claim that the Anunnaki actually genetically created Homo sapiens or humans. And something interesting about that is in human evolution, it goes like, you know, our ancient ancestors, evolution slowly over millions and millions of years, Neanderthals, and then bing, Homo sapiens in like a very, very short few thousand-year time period. And for thousands of years, scientists have been trying to figure out how that makes any sense with the theory of evolution. And so it actually turns out that the Anunnaki aliens were responsible for creating Homo sapiens. And how they did that was they genetically modified the DNA of Neanderthals, our ancestors, with their own DNA. And the reason they did this is because they came here to mine gold, and they wanted a slave race that was smart enough to be able to pick up an axe and go mine some gold, but not powerful enough to be able to be a risk of being able to overthrow the aliens. And so in the Tablets of Babylon, it talks all about this and how there are different gods, and many historians speculate that some of the gods in the Bible, for example, God the Father, and like Lucifer and stuff like that, are actually aliens. And in the Garden of Eden, which was in Babylon, Adam and Eve, the first humans, like a lot of speculation is that they were created by the aliens and that they were the first humans. And in the Bible, it actually talks about aliens. It talks about the nephilim, and it talks about dragons, and it talks about giants, and it talks about all these things that can't be regarded as anything other than aliens with the knowledge that we have now. So aliens have been around for thousands and thousands of years, and they greatly influenced our history. And I'll be talking about this more in another video, but if you've ever heard the stereotype or the joke, politicians are lizard people, well, have you ever heard that stereotypes come from a place of truth? The Anunnaki are not the only aliens on this planet that have been here before. There's another race of aliens called the draconians, which are lizard-like entities. And there's significant evidence that some of the ruling families throughout history, leading all the way back to ancient times, are actually members of this family of aliens or hybrid aliens, and they've been in power for thousands and thousands of years, which is interesting because if we look at all the presidents of the United States, 44 of the 45 of the presidents of the United States are actually share a common ancestor, which I believe was like King Edward the First or something. So it's kind of interesting. And once you start to look into the tablets of Babylon, if you do some of your own research, find out some more about it, it's quite interesting just how big of an influence aliens actually had on our society and have today. And when you start to look into it, you kind of realize that maybe things aren't exactly what we've been told. And why has the government been denying aliens all of these years? And then suddenly this Bob Lazar documentary pops up on Netflix and talks about how there's UFOs and how they worked on them. And it's just now being brought to light. So a large amount of people believe that our government, the United States government, and a lot of governments in the world are actually controlled by these alien entities. And if you might remember in my 3D, 4D, 5D video, which if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. There's actually different kinds of aliens, different levels of aliens. There's benevolent aliens, which are 5th dimensional and above. And then there's evil aliens, which are in the lower 4th dimension. And so most of the aliens that have controlled humanity for thousands of years are these lower level entity aliens. And when you start to really dive deep and do your own research on the aliens, you'll start to realize that their influence is everywhere and that they have been controlling and impacting our history for thousands and thousands of years. But now, thanks to the beautiful tool that is the internet, people like you and me have the opportunity to find out these facts for ourselves and learn the truth about our history and the truth about aliens. And the truth is, we are not alone on this planet, and we haven't been since the beginning. If you look into the genetics of the human genome, you'll actually find that there's reptile DNA inside of our brains. How does that make any sense if we evolved from ape-like ancestors? Well, lots of scientists for a long time would be like, we don't know, but now you guys know. We are not from this planet 100%. We are a combination of Homo sapien, or of Neanderthals, our ancestors, and of these aliens. And there's significant evidence for that inside of the human genome. So it's just a quick video on the intro to aliens if you haven't really found a starting point to look. So a good starting point to begin researching in depth on the aliens is to look up the tablets of Babylon and the Anunnaki, because that is basically where the human race and the beginning of the aliens story begins. It's the beginning of our story. It's the beginning of the stories in the Bible. It's the beginning of our civilization on this planet. So this is the wakeup 11. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please comment, like, and subscribe. Check out my other videos so I can keep this content coming out. Peace and love, and namaste.